so your speeds are the same up and down. It works much better. And typically it's more reliable. But as long as you get as long as you get your video from another source, then it's typically good.
We need to sync our
We stayed the week with my wife.
It's the longest minute in the world.
And actually, it's really kind of
Sitting there waiting for
Okay, folks, I'd like to welcome you to the St. Charles County Council meeting of Monday, August the 12th. We will begin the meeting with an invocation by Carissa Figgins of Harvester Christian Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Matt Swanson. Please stand.
Hey God, we come before you today with grateful hearts, acknowledging your presence and seeking your wisdom and guidance. As we gather to deliberate and make decisions that impact the lives of those within our community, we ask for your divine insight and clarity. Grant us the ability to listen with open minds and compassionate hearts, respecting the diverse perspectives and needs of our fellow citizens. May these discussions be marked by a spirit of unity, cooperation, understanding, and mutual respect. Father God, convict our hearts and close our mouths when we move away from love and joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Help everyone to see each other as the wonderful creation that you have made in each of us. We pray for the well-being and the prosperity of St. Charles County. Bless our leaders with strength, integrity, and the courage to act justly and wisely. Help us to work together to build a community that is inclusive, thriving, and reflective of your love and justice. And it's in your holy name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Swanson.
Here, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel.
Here.
Councilman Elam.
Here?
Councilman Hollander.
Here.
Councilman Hammond.
Here.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Here.
Councilman Baker.
Here.
Okay. We'll begin tonight's meeting with public comments. Just a reminder of two things. Number one is to fill out a speaker's card if you haven't done so. And the second thing is that we will limit comments to 3 minutes, and it'll be up there on the clock. Normally, we would have three speakers for an issue and 3 speakers against. I don't think we're going to have that situation. I think we are going to allow an increased number of people speaking on voter issues, so we will allow those folks to speak. Okay, first of all.
Jen Olson.
Hi, I'm Jen Olson. I'd like to congratulate the winners of last Tuesday's election. I hope you will commit to working together for the people of this county. Some of you may still be trying to figure out what the will of the people of St. Charles County truly is, so I'd like to offer some clarity. Joe Brazel is constantly belittled and dismissed by many of you on this council. He's called divisive or combative. You roll your eyes when he brings up concerns of citizens. You treat him as though he's the black sheep. I could never really put my finger on what it was about him that you all despise so much, but now I think I understand. I think Joe Brazel is the county council member that each of you want to be when you grow up. I think you resent him because of your inability to connect with your constituents the way that he does. Last Tuesday, Joe Brazel received the most votes for any contested seat on this council ever. He received twice as many votes as any of you in your current and past contested elections. He received as many votes as those of you who ran with no opponents in past years. Joe won this year by 37.5% and received over twice the number of votes that were cast for his opponent. The only person to have ever come close to that is Joe, back in 2016 when he won by 24.62%. Councilmember Hammond, last Tuesday you won by 0.28%, or 14 votes. In 2022, Councilmember Swanson, you won by 6.11% in a three-man race in which 60.83% of all votes cast were for someone other than you. Councilmember Elam, you won by 1.74% or 105 votes. Councilmember Hollander, you won by 17.32% in a three-man race in which 49.35% of all votes cast were for someone other than you. Councilmember Baker, you won by 13.66%. In 2020, Councilmember Schneider, you won by 14.5% against Patty York, who coincidentally will be taking your vacated seat come January. I encourage all of you to take these numbers into consideration going forward. Joe Brazel is respected, loved, and cherished by not only his direct constituents in District 2, but by your constituents as well. Your constituents want you to be more like Joe, and they want you to support him. How do I know this? Because half, and in some cases over half, of your constituents voted in past elections for candidates who would have come here to work with Joe for the people. Councilmember Brazel's constituents consistently show up in droves to ensure he remains on this council, and they go on a mission to re-elect him specifically. If you listen to and fight for your constituents the way that Joe does, maybe one day they will show up to blow your opponent out of the water and set a voter turnout record for your district. Please find it in yourselves to show this man the respect that he rightly deserves. Thank you, Councilmember Brazel, for your many years, past, present, and future, of hard work and dedication to the people of St. Charles County.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mary Ann Boatwright. It's on elections.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I'm Mary Ann Boatwright, and this is on election irregularities. Why was vendor unable to tabulate and post election results over 3 hours? That's what machines do. Entire state waited on us. When we hand counted, we presented numbers by 8:30. Weren't we told machines were better than humans? We need a detailed explanation, and don't tell me it was a glitch and a vendor refund. If our county posted numbers timely, would Bill Eigel have steadily moved ahead to first place? If so, would we have seen counties suddenly stop counting like swing states in 2020 election? Would we have seen an influx of votes for his opponents? That might have been too obvious to reasonably intelligent people who have seen that movie before. Is that why our numbers were not posted timely? Why would 69,778 voters cast a ballot for constitutional amendments and 47,359 for governor and not vote for important down-ballot races? That looks suspiciously odd. We have been warning this council for years and asked you to withhold funding until concerns were resolved and were ignored again. We told you in 2020, Bergea is a Malaysian company working with China. They own an International Lottery and Totalization, who owns Unison. That's a national security risk, and we're being ignored still. We voiced concerns about Conet vendor. Their CEO was arrested for storing election worker data in China. We voiced concerns about knowing poll pads and proved voters can vote more than once. Judges who discovered that inconvenient truth were rewarded with banishment from being election judges. We warned you about Zuckerbuck's influence and were ignored. We warned you about Electronic Registration Information System, ERIC, a 3-member nonprofit funded by Soros and Rockefeller money who never cleaned voter rolls and cost us dearly. We invited you to meet the man who coded the 4951 flip logic, an ethical hacker who showed how to hack an election machine with a pen. Mike Lindell offered a free machine to monitor our machines for fraud and was ignored. We told you laboratory accreditation certificates required under HAVA and Missouri statutes did not exist on EAC, SOS, and our county election website after 2017, which made all elections afterward null and void. Then someone magically found one. Missouri canvassers showed you the dirty voter rolls. I'm not accusing anyone of anything nefarious, but this council had many opportunities to right this ship. This is your opportunity to make amends. Cast vote record capability is available. We must turn it on and analyze it until we get rid of machines. We must begin hand counting ballots and investigate this election. We know we're over the target and making some people uncomfortable. Truth eventually comes out. I suggest distancing yourself from anyone who is trying to negatively influence your vote to do the right thing. If you've done something you regret, make amends. We're all human and make mistakes, but we have a forgiving God if we repent. We're asking you to help us save our county, state, freedoms, and our country. You'll want to be on the right side of history this time. Thank you.
Bob Eno.
Good evening. My name is Bob Eno. I live in the Harvester area. I've lived there since 1981. Tim Baker is my councilman. And I'm also chairman of the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee. I'm here this evening not on behalf of the committee, but on behalf of myself. I want to talk about the elections as well. The election time for them to give out the results is a debacle. My phone was blowing up all day. What's with St. Charles? What's with St. Charles? I had no defense. As a matter of fact, it was after 10 o'clock, at around 10:15, when Tim Baker walked into the room at the Old Hickory Country Club, where we were having a get-together, and he came in, looked at the wall. We were streaming live on a projector, and he said, "Where are the results?" He said, "I'm hearing the results on 97.1 coming from Kurt Barr." And he said, "We don't have them up here." He immediately sent a text to Steve Ellman and Kurt Barr, and magically, within 3 minutes, 4 minutes, they all appeared. They all appeared. Why is that? He's the election authority guy. He is a director. He's over that. He handles it. We understand he is not accountable to anyone but the voters. We understand that. But you all have to get involved. The county council has to get involved. The county prosecuting attorney has to get involved. That needs to be done. This is ridiculous. We look like fools. St. Charles County looks like fools. And I can tell you something else. A lot of you all, politicians, state reps, state senators, are blaming the committee. I was told the other day by a state rep that the fracture within the Republican Party in St. Charles County may never be healed, and blamed our committee for this. Our committee is fighting against that director at the election authority. He has to move on. And on top of all of that, I have 5 people, and I'm not sure what to do with it. I contacted the MEC. 5 different people told me, they were in different training classes, that Kurt Barr came in and slammed the committee and told them not to vote for the incumbents. Said there's other people there that have positions of authority, and they should be the ones on that committee. Now, I called the MEC. MEC didn't know what to do with it. They've never heard of such a thing. They suggested I call the Attorney General. Is that what we need? We need the Attorney General investigating our election authority? I don't think so. I don't think so. That needs to stay here, and something needs to be done about it. And then, the coup de grace. His wife runs for the committee and wins by 1 vote. 1 freaking vote. Think about that. What are the odds? What are the odds? And now we have to seat her on the committee. This is BS, guys. You need to look into it. You need to take your job seriously and take this. All these people back here are talking about the election authority. Can you imagine? And like I said earlier, my phone blew up. All these people, I was at the RNC committee and the state committee, I was the chair of that, and every one of them want to know, Bob, what is going on in St. Charles? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Kristen Hawkins. Kristen.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Tonight I'm here to question the veracity, as Kurt Barr says, of our county's election results. For years, we have stood up here and begged for you all to do your job. So at this point, I'm genuinely curious. What is your threshold? Is it foreign entities? We've told you about Conic and No Inc., and the most recent Smartmatic scandal where the top 4 executives were indicted on bribery, money laundering, and colluding with foreign entities. You should know that Smartmatic's DNA is in every voting system that exists. In fact, 10X, which was a third-party vendor responsible for our election night delays, is an affiliate to Smartmatic. I would be remiss to not mention Executive Order 13848, no foreign entities. I would also urge you to look into Baragia Corporation's, just a CYA suggestion. Foreign entities should concern you, but let's talk about noncompliance. Ali Grafe has spoken at nauseum pertaining to our elections not being administered in accordance to our federal laws per the HAVA Act. Her evidence has never been heard in a court of law, but it has been validated by our Secretary of State, Jay Ashcroft, on a recent radio interview. The truth is, not a single legal vote was cast on Tuesday. How about conflict of interest? Aside from multiple electioneering violations we have documented, the closest race in the election was none other than Kurt Barr's wife. She won by 1 vote. Who should we task to count this? Who should we task to recount this race? Surely it can't be Kurt. Or what about the Liberty High School debacle, where construction had entrances completely blocked off and voters could not enter? When someone called the election authority to report this issue, they were told, oh great, this will be one more thing that Joe Brazel tries to throw us in jail for. This statement alone is a violation of our election laws. Not that it matters, because you guys have proven that you don't care about our election laws. When Kurt Barr told the world that he illegally cut the wires on our election equipment and failed to have the machines tested and recertified afterwards, you all did nothing. Just to be clear, I'm not standing up here telling you all this because I'm expecting you to do something. You all proved years ago that you don't work for us and you have no intentions of following the law. I'm doing this to put everything on the record in hopes that one day we will have someone with a set of stones that cares about enforcing the law. Otherwise, why do we even have laws? At minimum, several of these races need to be recounted by hand on the county's dime, performed by a neutral party. Thank you.
Travis Hines. Travis Hines.
Travis Hines.
Hello, Travis Hines, St. Peters, Missouri. I'm also the winner of the O'Fallon Township Committee race. I'm in an awkward position myself because we have two races in my district. One is Councilman Hammond's race, which he won by 14 votes. And then also the committee that I sit on, we have a contested race of 1 vote. My question to this council is, when are you guys going to get serious about these elections? We've told you year after year of all the issues, whether it's the companies hosting these elections, these damn machines, whatever it is. We want to go to hand counting. 1 vote, he shuts the machines off, goes dark for 3 hours, and his wife mysteriously appears with 1 vote win. Get out of here. You know, we have several witnesses saying that Kurt Barr put his signs out at only the Cottleville Township locations, polling places. Is he running for something? Anybody? Is he running for something? I don't think he's up for another 2 years. Remember that, he's up for re-election in 2 years. What I want to know is what this council is going to do to fix this situation. I don't think a single one of these races needs to be charged to anybody who's contesting it as been done in the past. You guys need to cover the bill. I suggest we do a full forensic audit and we get to the bottom of what actually is taking place there. I would love any feedback there. Anybody? No, they won't talk to me? Of course, it wouldn't matter. I'm just talking to the wall myself anyway. Well, I think that's really all I got for you guys. I would hope and I ask that we can get this rectified. We cannot let this stand with a 1-vote election or a 14-vote election. I would assume, Mr. Hammond, if you're a man of your salt, you will support a recount in your race. Well, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Teresa Linsnick, and I live here in St. Charles, and Nancy Schneider is my councilwoman. Election integrity. 1, 10X needs to be fired. Go back to PDF way of submitting election results. 2, hand counting needs to happen. 3, 7 safeguards that former election director Krismer put in place need to be reinstated. 4, clean up the voter rolls. In April's election, it was late in getting us election results. August, election results were late. Why do we still have 10X if they failed us 2 elections? April school board election, we have 5 school districts in St. Charles County. Most of them had conservative candidates running. I was sure that at least Francis Howell and perhaps Wentzville would have conservative candidates win because they're very conservative districts. Our election authority was late in getting results. No conservative candidates won. In fact, there were no conservative school board candidates who won in the whole state. Isn't that suspicious? I don't want to point fingers, but delay can be a way to have time to manipulate votes. Fast forward to August, primary. Late again, voter rolls were not cleaned either. We still have very dirty voter rolls. Did you know that former election director Krismer had in place a checklist of 7 safeguards that would have to be met each election day? When election director Barr came, he did away with all those 7 safeguards. We still have unclean voter rolls with 2 million apparent registration violations. We used to have hand counting in the 70s. Now we have machine voting. We used to give election results through PDF files. Now we hire a third party to help us. Isn't that suspicious? Let's see. I thought that after the 2020 election, we would get our act together. Why did both April and August have late election results? Was it because they were doctoring the vote? Why can't we do a forensic audit of our April and August election? Many voters do not trust our election authority and do not trust machines. So 1, 10X needs to be fired, go back to PDF way of submitting election results. 2, hand counting needs to happen. 3, there were 7 safeguards that former election director Krismer put in place that need to be reinstated. And 4, clean up voter rolls. Please put pressure on our director of elections and on the Secretary of State. Thank you.
Judith Moorfield? Judith Moorfield?
Good evening. My husband and I have been residents, can you hear me? For 30 years here in St. Charles County. And I started talking 3 years ago. I just found out about this meeting, so I don't have anything prepared. So I'm going over kind of a repeat of what I've said in the past, what we have been telling you for the past 3.5 years. My vote should count. My vote should be protected. My vote is a right and a privilege. Many of us have been rudely awakened to the fact that our votes have not counted or been protected as they should have been. We have been talking to you about getting rid of the machines. You are elected to represent us, and we are not being represented here. We have been told all kinds of stories of why we're keeping the machines. And then it's slipped through $650,000 of our hard-earned money paying for software that we didn't want. And then Kurt Barr presents himself as one person in front of you all, and then someone completely different outside of this room. He is not there for us. We need to either get rid of the current election authority director or get rid of the machines, one or the other. There is no question about confirming our votes. And in the end, whoever wins, if we hand count it, we will accept it. But we have no confidence in the votes right now, none. Even when someone we want to be in that position wins, I have no confidence in it, because I'm thinking, oh, they let that one through, because we know that the machines are rigged. And the evidence is overwhelming. And for you not to know it now is simply because you did not want to know it, because it's there. So please, get rid of the machines. We want the hand counting back. I was alive and I was working in the election board for St. Louis County when we did that. And it's very easy. It's not difficult, and it's a lot less expensive. There are no storage fees that we have for these big machines. Please, just get rid of the machines. That's our will.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tom Gallagher? Tom Gallagher? Who'd you say? Tom?
Tom.
Geller?
Thank you. I'm Tom Gallagher, Lake St. Louis. I'm also on the Central Committee. And thank you for all of the hard work you do, Joe. So proud of you. When I wanted to speak about the past election, I don't have any prepared remarks other than what's in my head. I want to echo almost everything that was said tonight, other than the last speaker said there was two issues, one or the other. Kurt Barr must go or the machines must go. I'd like to change that to they both should go. I've also gone through the hand counting training, and it is so simple. 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. You count the votes. Any discrepancies are settled at the table. You can do it on time, and we can do it a lot less expensive than what we're currently doing. And also, when I was knocking doors for my own campaign, I was also knocking for Joe. And when I would go to the residents' homes, and sometimes they would come out and speak, and they would ask about Joe. And my pitch was, go on YouTube and watch the video of the county council meeting. It's embarrassing. To talk about the elections that we are talking about, the machines and all this Kurt Barr stuff, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to me as a St. Charles County resident. It's embarrassing to me to be at the country club the other night praying that Bill Igo would win, and we see zeros for 3 hours, and it's ridiculous. And I would tell people, watch Joe Brazel. He's a fighter. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Clayton Cheney? Clayton Cheney?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Clayton Cheney. I'm representing myself and several families from the Cox Hill and Cinnamon Hills areas in unincorporated St. Charles who are affected by several floods and poor engineered or modernized storm drain systems in our area. We've met with Tim Baker, and I was here last month to have this same conversation. I wanted to bring up some new points that I understand about my own property in our neighborhood and other areas. One thing that was brought up to me is that my area where I had my flooding, we had about 106 foot, again, of horizontal waters, about 3 to 4 foot tall in front of my home, in my home, and blocking off the street due to the storm drains being unable to accept the water that was coming. If possible, could we have the show off this paper real quick? On here, I have my home in red, and the storm drain systems all lead to here, which touch about 50 to 60 plus homes. And as we mentioned last time at the council meeting, that there are several areas where there is no storm drain system to accept the water. And with more and more construction, we continue to have less permeable ground for that water to be taken. And of course, it all leads to my home at the very end, where the increased level of water due to the changing climate is affecting me more and more. I've been informed that the area between my home and my neighbors where the storm drain system passes over was originally built to be a swale as the county's emergency button. I've also been informed that there was most likely county-funded work done in 2012 by either the county or a secondhand source that maintained, changed, or operated on the drain. I need a little bit more confirmation on that. But when they put the dirt back after they moved everything, the swale was no longer returned to its original condition. The ground was not graded, and now I have a 3 to 4 foot hill on the side of my home, which results in the emergency button being an emergency for me, not for the street. Well, for the street too, but now instead of it being a county problem where the water coming from the street, not from my home, not from something that my private entity has created or anyone else in my neighborhood's created, it's coming from the street and flooding my home and causing chaos. On here on SCCMO or maps.sccmo.org, you have access to the street information, and pipes are as small as 12 inches to 15 inches, which receive all this water from outdated systems and they can no longer keep up. I'd like to know what actions have been taken since the last meeting and what can be done about the systems that have been interacted from the county's work or third-party work, and what can be done to help our families in the local area in my district.
Clayton, get me after the meeting.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Arnie Deanoff.
Good evening, members of the County Council. My name is Arnie C.A.C. Deanoff, County Public Advocate. And I have to say to the public, we're talking about rules and regulations and following the laws. This $1 million administration, the five of you sitting over there, there's four minus Steve Ellman, you get over $1 million of taxpayer salary, benefits, and pension. But you don't follow the rules. You thumb your nose at the county charter, such as the public health director says you have to be a resident of St. Charles County after 6 months of being appointed and a registered voter of our county, but yet the public health director lives in St. Louis County. And Mr. Sullivan, who never pays attention to the public, makes a salary of $175,000, lives in the city of St. Louis. There's questions if he's a United States citizen, and he's not a registered voter as the charter maintains in St. Charles County, and he lives in South St. Louis City. So you don't follow our own county charter that we, the people, passed. So congratulations to Joe, Dave, and Patty. And thank heavens we fended off 2 Democrats in this county council election cycle. Mr. Elam, you lost control without Missy, so your power is dwindling very fast. So our courts space is at a premium here. And we need to look at more room and more courtrooms and more space for our ever-growing courts. We're running out of space as a county jail to put prisoners. The county budget needs to become public and not hidden. As I went to a meeting this afternoon at noon, the Court on Bank, and I asked for the information, and nobody can find the information of the proposed 2025 budget. There's over a year HVAC project that will put cases and cripple jury trials for 6 months to a year of the county courts building, because they're going to rip that entire building up, courtroom by courtroom, for at least 2 to 3 months apiece that was disclosed today. And that's through our facilities department. What about the building north of our court building that sits idle and is just rotting away? We need to invest in that and get people out of the crunched areas. What about the planning group that I said was $130,000, but the contract says you're paying them $400,000 plus travel from Chicago to plan our comprehensive plan? It's a spending and waste here, County Council. We need to stop the tax and spend methods. The election authority voter software, there needs to be a concrete explanation. The delay of 2.5 hours of our votes is just unexcusable. There needs to be a backup plan that's needed. We purchase vehicles not within our county, but instead in St. Louis, Boone County, Hannibal, and other cities. This time it's St. Louis County and Lou Fuse, not Lou Fuse in St. Charles County or
Thank you,
Poe
sir.
Chevrolet. And why are you
Deanoff,
holding up
thank you,
Tracer
Mr.
Bain,
Deanoff. Mr. Deanoff,
Bain,
your
the finance director, when you're paying consultant, who's a
Mr. Deanoff,
retired
Mr.
assistant
Deanoff.
director of administration, who's
Mr.
making
Deanoff.
a lot of money of taxpayer money for a
Thank you,
consulting
sir.
fee.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
We had one that was turned in after.
Okay,
the
we'll
deadline.
accept it.
Michael Gomez?
My name is Mike Gomez. It surprises me quite a bit right now to look at history a little bit differently. I'm looking at the people up front in front of me. You are our representatives. You are working for the people. We elect you. Some 250 years ago, the people were petitioning George. They had complaints. They had grievances. And the same stoic faces that George gave the United States citizens at that time, the colonists, you're giving to us again. And it's not only here, but it's happening all over America. And the rights of the people they're not really being listened to at all. You have stoic faces, you sound like you're interested, but as soon as we finish the 3 minutes, that is it, we're through. And I think it's about time that I condemn the people too for what we're doing. We should be really full in here, complaining, petitioning you to do the will that we want, but yet there's a handful here. But I see the same part of history being repeated all over again. Sooner or later, the American patriot, the American citizen, we the people, have to be heard. And it has to be heard in such a way where you really mean what you propose during your campaigns. The campaigns are fine, but as soon as you get here, it seems like you're not listening to us. And I think it's shameful that we elect you to do a job for us. You pretend to do it, and yet the complaints that I've heard here today, it seems like they've been going around for years. One thing after another, it doesn't change. So somewhere along the line, as that lady said, someone has to have the will to finally break that chain, to start looking for the people that you're really representing. You're not working for yourselves, you're working for us. We, the people. So sooner or later, something's going to change in America. If you're not going to comply with it, then the people have to really stand up, and we have to vote you out, but it's got to be a lot more than just a handful of people here. It's got to be a lot more. I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, since this is a non-agenda item, I'd like to suspend the rules with your permission.
Second.
And send a 5-minute, I want to play a 5-minute video and just make some comments on it.
I'd like to, can we respond to these comments? I mean, do it now so we don't have to do it in council?
Well, I'm asking the first request, you can make the second one. I'd like to play a 5-minute video I have set up out back and then make some comments on it, please. Since this is an important topic and it's not on the agenda.
Have the agreement of the council?
Well, you're the chairman, I'm asking you, yeah.
Go
Okay, could you play that video, please, and then I'll explain this. It's about 6 minutes. I'll explain it afterwards with a few comments and make some statements. This was based on I hope it don't do this again, guys.
Well, there's a
So, what Clay is saying is that these failed requirements and lack of documenting the cut wires invalidate the certification of the voting machines set forth by the EAC and VVSG. Listen to this call between Council
Just 2 minutes is time. This is
Director
important.
Barr and Deputy Parkinson, where they changed their story. Now admitting that they lied about it all.
He said you're not getting your money, okay? I'm going to explain that.
Okay, so so that's the end of the.
That's it.
Okay, all right.
All right, so we had, me, Matt, Dave, and Tim had an election integrity meeting at the Family Arena. And the election authority said that he was going to pay for it. And, or the four of us were going to split within our budget. We get $6,000 a year. I've never used my expenses in 24 years. that I'm aware of. I don't think so. And so we were gonna all split it if the election authority didn't want to pay for it. And we can have a town hall meeting on anything. We can have a town hall meeting on wearing pink hats on Tuesday. It doesn't matter. It's none of their business what we do because we're elected. And so we had our town hall meeting. That was a breakfast meeting the next morning. He said he cut the wires. He said it multiple times. And so if you saw the expert, they're supposed to have if you did that, in fact, if they did cut the wires, which they did, they smashed them, which is a violation. It's a felony because you're tampering with machines and you're breaking the seal. This is why we've been having this long-term dispute, because he's made statements over and over again that aren't true. And so then he said, then I sent the FOI, Freedom of Information, to collect, well, if you in fact had the vendor do it, then send me all the serial numbers of the machines you did, send me the work order from the vendor, send me everything that you need to send me, and then you could switch your story and say the vendor did it, but it's either one or the other. And that's why then they decided that they're not, then he says, then that day I sent that FO in, the day they said, we're not paying for your integrity meeting, you're not getting your money. They're like trying to use that as it was like $7,000 or whatever it was to balance me out to shut up. So I went, oh, you're gonna have to pay for that with your own money. I still don't know how it ever got paid for. I have no idea. But I didn't pay for it because the council members have a right to expense it. So there's all these shenanigans going on. So I'll move on real quick. Based on the election on Tuesday, we were the last county in the state of Missouri to get the numbers. Kurt said it was done. It's a vendor that's given those numbers. When did we start using vendors? I don't know. I don't even know what the hell they do if they're subbing everything out. They should be doing that themselves in live time. That's the big question right there. That's a huge question. There's all kinds of other things that went on. There were multiple people who were not able to vote, and one of them was a St. Charles County police officer who said he was going to be here tonight, but I guess he didn't want to show up. He could not vote. They told him that he was ineligible. He voted in the same spot for 12 years, and he called me. He was furious. And I'll get him to write a letter. These other people, Mrs. Dugan and some other one wrote letters. The election authority was telling people they're ineligible, and the election office said, well, you filled out a survey and you filled it out in the wrong spot. This officer didn't even know what they were talking about. He goes, send a scan and send it to me. They never did. He called the Secretary of State, and they said, you are an eligible voter, and they wouldn't let him vote. And then Kurt Barr's campaigning in the election office for his wife, which is a fact, and he was talking about this to people voting. My wife, Kurt Barr, and he put his Kurt Barr signs out. There were so many things that were done wrong in this election. It's disgusting. And and one more thing, he said at the budget meeting, Matt, on that, if you watch this video, it's 30 minutes long. It's called Cutting the Wire, St. Charles County Elections. It's on YouTube. It's 30 minutes. You got to watch the whole thing. Matt's on there. If you guys remember, I was out of town on business, and they were proposing a $650,000 additional expense on more electronic machines. I had asked them, Mr. Baker made a motion to table it, and they didn't table it for me. But Matt was asking some really good questions. And if you watch this video, the questions he asked were never answered. And then he gives different answers for all these three different categories on the FAO, Freedom of Information Act, and then on the response, which is in this video. And so there's all kinds of things. It's consistent non-truths, consistent. And so I would like to pass a resolution at the next meeting to have Kurt Barr resign, but I don't know if... Can we talk about this now?
I think we'll give you a couple minutes here. I think that, no, don't get me wrong, you know.
I could go on, but I'm sorry. I mean, this is an important issue, so, you know, I know we're fighting,
and these are things that, you know, that have been brought up before in the video and so on, but I'll give you Mr. Baker a couple minutes.
Do something.
Go ahead.
Let me just say that, first off, I did see Kurt Barr sign. I thought, well, he up for election again? Because it was right outside the school where I live. And I do agree, and I've heard this from a constituent, that there needs to be some oversight on the election authority. Right now, it's Kurt, and the only retribution we have, I guess, is go to the Secretary of State. I mean, I'm not really sure how we...
Or defund him.
Then we're not going to have elections. I think... When we get the new council in, we need to sit down as a group and look at the charter, look at how things are arranged. Right now, we have no authority over the election authority. All we do is fund their budget, and that's it. We can't get Kurt up here and tell him we don't like how it went, or, you know, get some oversight to...
Okay. All right.
But hang on. But I would be willing, and I think, if there's a cost to an audit, I'd be willing myself to spend as many days I could audit, and I'm sure we could get enough volunteers where there would be no cost to audit. So how could we,
Brett Statler is the county auditor.
no, I mean, irrespective of where he's sitting, but I just think we need, I'd be willing, I'm sure we can get enough people in this room and Democrats and Republicans to sit down and with some oversight from the election to audit the election and where we as a body, and I've been on the council for a year and a half, and this issue's never going to go away. So I think we need to do something, and I think the something is review the charter and how current government is set, especially with the election authority. So that's my final comment.
Just one more point. One of the persons who lost, Debbie Cook, lost by 14 votes, which is less than 1%. Kurt Barr told her it cost $10,000 for a recount. The state law that is not what the state law is. The state law is may charge. It's up to the election authority. He doesn't have to charge. And the $10,000 is a placeholder. It's a bond. And then it should be based on the actual cost, which is not even close to a couple $1,000. But it's just, you're having the election director make these decisions on making him look bad. He's not going to want to find out if the election was fraudulent. He doesn't want to know.
Okay. All right. I again, appreciate everyone's comments. I think everyone's had a chance to express themselves, and I think it's time to move on to the... I don't believe there's an oral report from the county executive, so we move to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion or is there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We now move to bills for final passage, beginning with bill number 5309.
Bill number 5309, an ordinance authorizing the county executive or his designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement and memorandums of understanding with the St. Charles, Lincoln, and Warren County Continuum of Care, the Lincoln County Public Housing Authority, and Northeast Community Action Corporation for services related to non-elderly disabled residents.
Questions or comments on 5309? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5309, an ordinance authorizing the county executive or his designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement memorandums of understanding with the St. Charles, Lincoln, and Warren County Continuum of Care, the Lincoln County Public Housing Authority, and Northeast Community Action Corporation for services related to non-elderly disabled residents. Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Okay, Bill 5309 passes. Next up is Bill number 5310.
Bill number 5310, an ordinance authorizing the county executive or his designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement and memorandums of understanding in conjunction therewith with the Missouri Department of Social Services Children's Division, St. Charles, Lincoln, and Warren Continuum of Care, and Northeast Community Action Corporation for services related to foster care youth.
Questions or comments on 5310? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5310, an ordinance authorizing the county executive or his designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement and memorandums of understanding in conjunction therewith with the Missouri Department of Social Services Children's Division, St. Charles, Lincoln, and Warren County Continuum of Care, and Northeast Community Action Corporation for services related to foster care youth. Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Bill 5310 passes. Next up for final passage, Bill 5311.
Bill number 5311, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute STBG Program Supplemental Agreement, Federal Project STP-7302678, with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for additional funds for the reconstruction of Gudermouth Road, Old Gudermouth Road to Motherhead Road.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5311, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute STBG Program Supplemental Agreement, Federal Project STP-7302678, with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for additional funds for the reconstruction of Gudermouth Road, Old Gudermouth Road to Motherhead Road. Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Okay. Bill 5311 passes. Next up is Bill 5312.
Bill number 5312, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a Transportation Enhancements Funds Program agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the Interstate Drive Shared Use Path Federal Project TAP-7303628.
Questions or comments on 5312? Please call the roll.
Bill number 5312, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute a Transportation Enhancements Funds Program agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the Interstate Drive Shared Use Path Federal Project TAP-7303628. Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Okay. Bill 5312 passes. Next up is Bill 5313.
Bill number 5313, an ordinance approving execution of cost apportionment agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission to coordinate the participation of St. Charles County in the cost of the commission's public improvement for I-70 in St. Charles County, which includes mowing and litter pickup along I-70 from the Warren County line to the Missouri River, job number WMSCF 24Q SL 24001-360.
Questions or comments? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to remind us, everyone, that we passed a resolution earlier this year to ask for litter cleanup from the people who are in our jails, which we have an overpopulation problem, to actually pick up the trash. It would save us money. It would hopefully maybe reduce sentences. But just want to remind everybody, I'm still going to vote for this, but I still think we got to think outside the box and stuff like this. And I know Sheriff Lewis agrees. So
Where's that at, Sam? What happened with that? I remember
it got
that.
passed, but nothing. I mean, it's.
Gotta work it
It
out.
has no weight on it, but yeah, I mean, I agree. There's something that we need to work on, but.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we've had this same resolution before us, I don't know, how, 4 or 5 years now from now, and every year it comes up, and the truth of the matter is, MoDOT ought to be doing this. We should not have to be contributing, but for the, appearance of our county, we go ahead and we approve this each year to have an extra lawn mowing and litter pickup. And I don't like doing it, but I certainly see a need for it. Okay, any other comments? Okay, please call the roll.
Bill number 5313, an ordinance approving execution of cost apportionment agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission to coordinate the participation of St. Charles County in the cost of the commission's public improvement for I-70 in St. Charles County, which includes mowing and litter pickup along I-70 from the Warren County line to the Missouri River, job number WMSCF 24Q SL 24001-360. Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes, okay. Bill number 5313 passes. Next up is Bill number 5314.
Bill number 5314, an ordinance waiving liquor license fees for certain concessions operations of the Parks and Recreation Department of the City of St. Charles for the period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5314, an ordinance waiving liquor license fees for certain concessions operations of the Parks and Recreation Department of the City of St. Charles for the period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yeah.
Okay. Bill 5314 passes. Next up is Bill number 5315.
Bill number 5315, an ordinance authorizing the county executive or his designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Missouri Department of Higher Education and Workforce Development and the St. Charles County Department of Workforce and Business Development related to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Program Year 24, WIOA Youth Formula Funds, contract number P09925-00011.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5315, an ordinance authorizing the county executive or his designee to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Missouri Department of Higher Education and Workforce Development and the St. Charles County Department of Workforce and Business Development related to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Program Year 24, WIOA Youth Formula Funds, contract number P09925-0011. Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Okay. Bill number 5315 passes, and next up is bill number 5616.
Bill number 5316, an ordinance authorizing
No,
execution.
just a second, I have to correct that. It seems to me it'd be 53, be 53? It's a typo, yeah, it should be actually bill number 5316.
Bill number 5316, an ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement relating to the Crisis Intervention Program grant between St. Charles County and St. Louis County.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5316, an ordinance authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement relating to the Crisis Intervention Program grant between St. Charles County and St. Louis County. Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Okay. Bill 5616 passes, and the last bill for final passage is Bill 5317.
Bill number 5317, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute the revised St. Louis Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force Memorandum of Understanding and the associated cost reimbursement agreement between St. Charles County and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5317, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute the revised St. Louis Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force Memorandum of Understanding and the associated cost reimbursement agreement between St. Charles County and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Bill 5317 passes. Now we start with bills for introduction, starting with bill number 5318.
Bill number 5318, requested by Sarah Evers, sponsored by Terry Hollander. An ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement between Iowa State University of Science and Technology and St. Charles County Department of Public Health regarding a public health internship.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, we move on to bill 5319.
Bill number 5319, requested by John Greifsue, sponsored by Terry Hollander. An ordinance authorizing execution of the common agreement between St. Charles County and the St. Charles County Economic Development Council.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, we move on to bill 5320.
Bill number 5320, requested by Matthew Seeds, sponsored by Terry Hollander. An ordinance providing for amendment of Ordinance 23-104 for a supplemental appropriation relating to expenditure of the state and local cybersecurity grant program funds and operation of the intergovernmental agreement between St. Charles County and the Missouri Department of Public Safety, Office of Homeland Security.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, last item for introduction, bill 5321.
Bill number 5321, requested by Dan Keene, sponsored by Terry Hollander. An ordinance amending the 2024 budget adopted in Ordinance 23-104 by transferring excess funds from the St. Charles County Corrections Department personnel costs line item to the department's medical services line item.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, are there any bills to be removed from the table?
On the not to remove, but on the sewage treatment plant bill, we're gonna, I'm gonna talk to John and Mike Herberg and kind of whoever, Dave might be interested in it and Tim, but there's some things I wanna look at and for this concerns my district, and have a little more conversation about this, and maybe Matt, you might be concerned about it too. So,
All right. Is there any announcements or miscellaneous? Mr. Hammond?
Yeah, I don't know what to say, other than, I don't know, you people ought to probably start a petition if you want hand counting, and get that on the ballot, and I'd be glad to sign it if you want to put together a petition.
Okay,
Terry?
Yes,
If I
Mr.
would.
Swanson.
For so many, you probably already know the platform of the Secretary of State who won the Republican nomination. He has made it very clear what he wants to do. That's who we hold accountable moving forward right now. It has taken us years to get there, but he has said that that is his platform. Now, go out and get him elected statewide, because now we can start coming from the top down, because as Mr. Baker said earlier, we have one job on the county council, and it's to fund or not fund. I'm not going to have a back and forth with you. I let you talk. I took all kinds of notes. I can't respond back and forth, not going to go down this road. But if you want something, you want it to change, that's where it starts. It has to start at the Secretary of State's position, and they can tell the election directors what to do. Not having a back and forth, this is my time. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, I've listened to you enough tonight. Thank you.
All right, any other
Moving on.
announcements?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.
you're right, 100%.
Put it on the ballot yourself. Read the charter, man. Reading your school.